From County College of Morris, this is CCM All Access.
Hello, and welcome to CCM All Access, the program that brings you news and information from the County College of Morris. Students on campus, members of the community, people doing good things. I'm Nicholas Kratzel, and joining me today is Dr. Jill Schennum, who teaches in the Department of Sociology, Economics, and Anthropology here at CCM. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, I'm glad you can make it. So can you tell us a little bit about what your department does and what you do here at CCM?
Sure. So I'm the chairperson of the Department of Sociology, Economics, and Anthropology, and we basically offer a wide array of courses in those disciplines, all of which are social sciences, to CCM students.
Right. So why three subjects in one department, say?
They're all social sciences, so they all use the scientific method to attempt to discover more about human society. Sociology looks at contemporary societies, mostly Western societies, using science. Economics, of course, looks at the economy, one institution in society. And anthropology looks at everything about human beings.
Right, awesome. So out of those, what's your favorite?
Well, I am a cultural anthropologist, so my favorite, of course, is anthropology.
Right. So I know you kind of just went upon that a little bit just a few seconds ago, but can you tell us a little bit about anthropology? I'm not really sure what that is.
So yeah, anthropology is the study of human beings. So anthropology has 4 subdisciplines, and in the United States, people who get a PhD in anthropology are supposed to know something about all of those disciplines. So I'm a cultural anthropologist. We study cultures all around the world, contemporary cultures. Archaeologist uses material remains to learn about human societies and cultures in the past. So they use excavation and analysis. Physical anthropologists try to understand everything about what it means biologically to be human. So they study human evolution, primates, and existing genetic variability.
Wow.
And linguists.
There's another one?
Study language.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I was getting ready for that. Wow, okay, so there's so many. So how did you end up, so you said your degree is in cultural anthropology. How did you get into that?
That's what I majored in undergraduate, but I think that I was really interested in other cultures. I did a semester abroad in college in Bogota, Colombia, and learned a lot about the history of Colombia and Latin American cultures, and just became very interested in that.
I'll come back to your education in a second, but how long have you been, doing this here at CCM?
About 25 years.
Okay, and that's just the teaching part of it, or also the chair part of it?
I've been a professor for 25 years and a chair for probably 15 or 18.
Wow, okay. And this was the first college you worked at?
No, I did adjunct teaching at other colleges like University of Massachusetts, Boston, but this is the first, full-time tenure track position.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like I said, I'll go back to your education now. So, I guess, where did you go to college, and can you tell us a little bit about your college experience?
Sure. So I grew up in a suburb of Chicago, and that's relevant to where I went to college because I went to college in the Midwest at a small liberal arts college called Carleton College in Minnesota. And it was great, a great experience, fantastic professors, really a focus on the liberal arts, so that you had a really interdisciplinary education, which I greatly appreciated.
Right. So how did you choose to, why did you choose to go there originally? Did you know it existed, when you were a kid, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you had been there prior?
It's a top college.
Really? Okay,
area,
okay. No, I'd never heard of it
No one has
today.
on the East Coast.
Yeah, okay. That makes
You're
sense.
very Eastern-centric out here.
I would definitely say. So so that was for your bachelor's, right?
That was for my bachelor's degree.
So did you continue after that?
Then I worked for a while, then I went into a PhD program at Boston University in cultural anthropology and was ABD, but there weren't a lot of jobs in anthropology then, so I moved to New York City and worked for quite a while in social work and social services.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
And so did you, I know after that, at the beginning of the show, we announced that you're Dr. Jill Schennum. So you decided to get your doctorate too.
When I got the job at CCM, then I went back to get my doctorate at CUNY Graduate Center, which is a fantastic program, and it was great.
Awesome.
And CCM supported me in that. CCM is a tuition reimbursement program for faculty and staff. So
why did you decide to go get your doctorate after so many years of say teaching and getting your bachelor's and your master's? Why did you decide to go back and get that?
I wanted to do some research in addition to teaching, and I felt I really needed to have a doctorate.
Awesome.
To do that.
Wow. So what? You said before you were working kind of in the field, correct? Social work wise. So what was that like?
Working in social work?
Yeah.
It was really fun. So I spent about 15 years working with young adults in New York City, working class young adults, lots of young adults of color, Latino, African American, GED preparation programs, vocational training programs. It's really
awesome.
fun.
Yeah, no, I bet. So I might have missed this. You might have said this already. Where was that? Was that in New Jersey or?
In New York City.
Really? Wow. Yeah. That's a big hub. A lot of people. So are you from around here originally?
Nope, from the Chicago area.
No, I'm saying like in terms of teaching. Like you settled down in New Jersey, I guess?
Yeah, I live in New Jersey.
Okay, so what made you decide to go to New York?
I lived in New York then.
Wow, okay, all right. So you've really been all over the place then in terms of that. Okay, so, and that was before you started at CCM?
Correct.
Okay, wow.
And it's relevant to what I do at CCM.
That's what I was going to,
because in our department, we also have a human services program, which is a 2-year pre-social work program.
Okay.
So students in that program at CCM are taking the coursework that they need to transfer and get a bachelor's in social work.
Wow, okay.
And then they can go on from there and get an MSW, a master's in social work, if they want. But so we do prepare students who want to go into social work.
Okay, so yeah, I was just going to get into that. So what is it like teaching in that subject? Do you see a lot of students trying to go into anthropology or say economics or anything in that department, or are they just taking the class because they kind of need it?
No, I see lots of students who want to become sociology majors, so they're a liberal arts major here at CCM, and when they transfer to a 4-year school, they'll declare their major as sociology or economics or anthropology.
Right.
So one of my students, for example, is transferring and starting at Rutgers in January, and she will be an anthropology major at Rutgers.
Wow.
Yeah. Economics courses, we do have students who take those who want to be economics majors, but many of our economics students are in the business program here at CCM.
Interesting. So that would be separate in terms of majors. So like just say your business would be in, or your major would be in business, sorry, and you would just have to take economics, which would be in your department.
You really do need to take economics courses if you're a business major.
Of course, yeah, no, I would assume. So with those 3 subjects that are part of your department, right, what kind of jobs besides, I mean, I'm obviously an economist, like anthropology, and what was the other one again?
Sociology.
What kind of jobs would people go into with those?
Oh, they can go into all kinds of jobs. With a sociology degree from a good college, you can get a job working for not-for-profits or working for think tanks or working in the private sector. Anthropologists often go on to get master's degrees, but they can get jobs working with museums or working with, again, not-for-profits. And economists can get jobs all over the place.
Of course, yeah. I mean, I would say that.
And then our human services program, there's lots and lots of jobs for social workers.
Interesting.
Now, also in a whole variety of different fields.
Would you advise, just say, for an example, a younger student, maybe in middle school or a freshman, sophomore in high school, came up to you and said, should I go into this? Would you advise them to go into the field, like that subject area?
Oh, absolutely. Any of those areas would be great to go into. Well, they're completely fascinating.
Absolutely.
They really, a good liberal arts education really prepares students for just a variety of different jobs or postgraduate experiences. Yeah. So, for example, if you graduate with a bachelor's degree in sociology, you're a great candidate for law school.
Yes.
for an MSW program, for a master's in public health, for business school even. So it really prepares you for a whole variety of different jobs or postgraduate experiences.
Right, absolutely. So have you seen any students be, obviously pretty successful coming out of CCM, going into those programs, I guess, into their four-year university?
Oh, yeah.
Transferring. Really? Okay.
I had a student who transferred from CCM to Brown University.
Really?
And graduated. A student who went to Columbia. Lots of students who transfer to Rutgers. Rutgers has a great anthropology program and do extremely well there. So I feel like a liberal arts education at CCM prepares them very well for transfer.
Absolutely. I know you kind of discussed this earlier, but you said, some of these people, like you said, for example, they'll get a sociology degree, and makes them a good candidate for, say, law school.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think about that yourself, or?
No, I never wanted to go to law school.
Okay.
I love anthropology.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, like you said, you got your doctorate. That's great. Yeah, that's so interesting. Like, I know a lot of my friends that I've met, I guess specifically engineering majors, they love, the social sciences, but they're so good at, the natural sciences, and all of them are striving so hard to get their master's and maybe even their doctorate after. Would you advise people to do that, like keep going after their bachelor's, or no?
I think that I would advise them to get a master's degree. I think that in some disciplines, with the kind of difficulty it is getting tenure-track jobs in academia, the PhD can be a little problematic sometimes now. And it has a lot to do with the reshaping of higher education in ways that are not so great for students.
Right.
So one thing colleges and universities do, for example, is they rely much more heavily on a part-time contingent labor force today.
Okay.
Those are our adjunct faculty, instead of investing in those tenure-track, long-term faculty tracks that
perhaps,
I think are really better for students.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Awesome. Now we're going to take a break. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
I'm Andrea Lucia, a graduate of County College of Morris. At CCM, I gained a high-quality education, was involved with clubs on campus, and performed university research in tissue engineering. My CCM education prepared me for ongoing success. Today, I am at Cornell University, studying engineering and performing research in cardiac tissue engineering. The professors and staff at CCM helped me to start right and finish strong.
Welcome back to CCM All Access. I'm Nicholas Kratzel, and we're here with Dr. Jill Schennum. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks.
So, as I understand, you teach a course here called Cultural Geography. Is that correct? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So that's a geography course here at CCM. Our international studies students take it, but so do many other students. And it's really looking at the economic, political, cultural relationships between core and peripheral countries, and sort of learning a theoretical lens for how to examine those relationships.
Right. So how did you end up teaching that?
I'm not a geographer.
Right. Okay.
But my advisor in my PhD program it's a very well-known geographer, David Harvey. He's written about 30 books. And
really?
So I learned a lot about geography just in my PhD program in cultural anthropology.
Really? So you obviously got really interested.
Yep. Yeah.
So how did you, so you came to CCM, how did you get involved with teaching that here, though?
They asked me to teach it.
Really? And you just happen to obviously like the subject? And
yeah.
Wow, okay.
And in cultural anthropology, we study globalization also, so I have a background in that.
Right, absolutely. So with that, right, is that part of your department? That cultural geography?
That course, yeah, it's listed as a sociology course.
Interesting. So what kind of students do you see coming into that class?
International studies students are some of them. So they're really interested in going on to get a degree in international studies and going into that kind of work. But others are just students who are interested in sociology and geography.
So just say your major is in sociology, right? Would you have to take, like liberal arts sociology like that, would you have to take that class?
No, it would be an elective.
Really?
So we offer a variety of different electives that students can choose to take depending what they're interested in sociology.
So how would, like I guess, they have, obviously students have options to take electives. How would a student get involved with something, I guess, outside of the ordinary, you know, in terms of that department, you know, sociology? Because it's related, but they don't like need to take it.
I think they would just want to take it, so
yeah.
they just sign up for a course.
Interesting. Yeah. Very cool. So I'd like to move forward on, I understand you're coming out with a new book. Can you tell us a little bit about your book and what it's about?
Sure. So it's, you know, I have a book that's coming out through Vanderbilt University Press, and it is really on the ethnographic research that I've been doing for the past at least decade in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
So my research looks at this very long, slow process of deindustrialization in Bethlehem. Okay. Bethlehem was the site of a gigantic steel mill that was the flagship mill for the Bethlehem Steel Corporation, and that corporation was the second largest steel company in the world for many years. Yeah, and it was headquartered in this fairly small city of 80,000 people in Bethlehem, and had this huge steel mill. And so I have been, you know, interviewing and talking to and spending time with workers who worked in the mill, and looking at what happened to them with, you know, closing down parts of the mill, ultimately closing the entire steel mill in Bethlehem, and then finally with Bethlehem Steel going into bankruptcy and emerging as not a corporation in 2003. The whole corporation just vanishing.
So how did you get involved with that?
I worked in Bethlehem in social services in the 1990s, and that was a time when many people were losing their jobs at the steel mill, so it was very much a part of the whole culture and economy of the city. So I became very interested in it.
So did you start working there for the research, or you just happened to be working there?
No, I happened to be working there in a job in social services.
So how did you end up over there, like in Bethlehem?
I live in northwestern New Jersey, and so it was somewhere I could commute to. Wow.
Oh, and you said social work, you worked over there, right? Yeah. So you were working in social work in, obviously, Bethlehem. Had it, like, that's crazy. Like, so you got involved with the steel mill, like learning about it. How did that all come about?
I just became interested. So when I was getting a PhD in cultural anthropology, I started doing ethnographic fieldwork, which means doing participant observation, going to Bethlehem, meeting steel workers, spending time with steel workers and their families, interviewing people, reading everything I could on it. That's what anthropologists do. That's the method we use to collect data.
That's amazing. So I'll come back to your book in a second, but so what would you say you like more, the actual field work of anthropology or teaching it?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I love them both.
I had a feeling, yeah. Okay, so I guess the experiences, though, got to be unforgettable doing all of the social work, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, doing ethnography is great, but really importantly, I continue to be very involved in the community. So I work on with a group. I'm on the board of a group called the Steelworkers Archives, whose mission is to collect these histories of work in the plant so that the lives of steelworkers won't be forgotten. And they're very active in the community. They, lead tours, they go to events, they interview people and collect oral histories. So I continue to be very involved in that community.
Right. So I have two questions. My second will be the follow-up, but the first one is, when you started this research, was it just for the sake of your own research, or did you always know you were kind of going to come out with a book for it?
Well, it was when you get a PhD in anthropology, you have to do a year of ethnographic fieldwork, and then you write your dissertation based upon that field.
Oh, that was for your PhD?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So that was my
Okay.
dissertation, and then after that I decided I wanted to turn it into a book.
So my follow-up question was obviously, what's the reason for the steel mill not like shutting down and stuff like that?
There's a lot of reasons.
Yeah, no, I would assume, yeah.
There are many reasons, but certainly the entire steel industry in the United States has been restructured and reshaped. One thing people cite was the rise of mini mills, which are a steel mill. A big steel mill, a vertically integrated steel mill, literally makes steel out of raw materials, right?
How does that work?
It works from it's a huge process.
That's got to be crazy to see, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So there's giant blast furnaces, and then steel has to be rolled in mills and shaped into different forms. The mini mills, which started out-competing parts of vertically integrated mills, don't do that. They have electric arc furnaces, and they use scrap steel to feed it into the electric arc.
That was like the one in Bethlehem, like
No,
that? Oh,
no. These are in throughout the southern United States.
So that's
one reason.
Okay.
I mean, there's many reasons that
Right.
Bethlehem Steel went bankrupt.
So that was part of the reason for the whole system just shutting down, because they found, I guess, more efficient ways to be doing it?
Well, that's one reason. I mean, vertically integrated mills are still profitably producing a lot of steel in the United States.
Does it require workers or no?
Yes, but many less workers than it would have in 1950, for example.
Right. That's what I was trying to, I was so confused. I was like, okay, well, that would make sense, because if they need less workers, then I guess that would be more profitable for them. So they would have them in, different places, and that would put, obviously a lot of people, would make them unemployed, and they would shut down. That's it. Very interesting. So I guess your book's coming along very well then.
Well, yeah, should be out.
It should be out.
Sometime in the next 6 months.
Awesome. That's great. So it's completely finished.
I'm sure that my publisher will
Right,
ask me to do some minor edits, but yes.
Awesome. Wow, that's great. So what would you say, this might be a big question, what would you say your greatest accomplishment is? Probably as, probably a social worker, we'll say.
As a social worker?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, just teaching lots and lots of young people who might otherwise not have had access to that quality of education.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I know definitely for sure, you probably, especially, you worked for a long time between teaching and that, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm sure you meet a lot of people, and it's probably a great experience overall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So another question I would have is, how do you feel about students choosing a community college out of high school, or even if people are coming back from the military and they want to go into the education field or just education in general? How do you feel about them going to community college instead of a four-year university right away?
I think a community college like CCM is a great opportunity for young people. I think it's very important that we have community colleges that really pay attention to quality education, challenging our students and introducing them to more complex ways of thinking about the world.
Right.
I love community college students because I really like teaching working class students or students who have been marginalized in many ways, and challenging them to really reach their potential.
Right.
I think
Achieve their goals.
sociology and anthropology and economics have so much to offer in terms of broadening the way young people can think about the world, think about structures of power in the U.S. and globally, and really think more critically about the things they see going on around them in their everyday lives.
Would you say that what you just said, would you say that is better sought out in community colleges? The students would get a better understanding of this then?
I think they can get a understanding of that at any good college.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
I mean, one thing I like about community colleges were originally created as very democratic institutions. They were created to broaden the accessibility of higher education, of a college education, to young people in the United States.
Right.
And I think that is a vision and a goal. Like, community colleges as democratic institutions, but also as supporting a democratic society is a vision and a goal that we have to be very careful not to lose, because community colleges are under an enormous amount of threat in the contemporary sort of landscape of higher education.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. Honestly, thank you so much for coming on too. That was great.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me.
Absolutely. We had a good time. This has been another edition of CCM All Access. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.